Hi, everyone. Stephanie Battolino here with another edition of Walk the Walk and Talk the Talk. I am recording this pretty much on the cusp of the beginning of Transgender Awareness Week, which culminates in Transgender Day of Remembrance observances around the world on November 20th. And what I'm going to be doing today is really kind of a series of a couple of episodes where I want to talk about a couple of things that I think they always come to mind for me when I am speaking at a TDOR service or I'm writing about it. And I just wanted to share those with you. And both of them and both of the kind of the stories are in my book. And if you haven't gotten a copy, I go to my website. It's on sale for the holidays, and I would love for you to grab a copy. And I hope it speaks to you, or better yet, if you get it for someone who you believe needs to hear what the messages are in the book, and it touches them. That's really why I wrote it to begin with. But promotion aside, I want to talk a little bit about what I call the abyss story, and it's really a conundrum. It's a conundrum of authenticity. I typically, what I feel very strongly about, what I typically talk about, is that when my trans siblings who have been murdered this year and in past years, all they were doing, the only thing that they could ever be accused of is living their authentic life. And as a result of leading and living their authentic life, they found themselves killed for no other reason than they're different. And I think that's a conundrum. It's a tragedy, but it's also a reality that a lot of trans people face when they make the decision to embrace their authentic self, when they make the decision to embrace the person that they've always known themselves to be. And for me, that moment of clarity, that moment of authenticity, and as I said, I talk about it in the book, came way back in 2003, where I was sitting with my now ex, and we were talking across the table about kind of my situation. I'll spare you all the gory details, but we kind of reached a point where she knew what was going on, I knew what was going on, and she said to me, she turned and she said to me, she goes, I know this isn't going away. This being my being trans. And I had run from that notion for 4+ decades, built on a foundation of shame, guilt, and denial. But I had probably the most clear moment that I ever did when I said in response to her, "You're right. It's not going to go away. And if I do this meaning transition, I'm going to go all the way, like what you see before you." And that's where the conundrum is. It's like, so at that moment of clarity, I am being my most authentic. Certainly in my own personal experience, I was. But here's the thing. In so doing, I risked losing everything. The house of cards life that I had created for myself was going to come to a screeching halt. The house in the burbs, the picket fence, the whole 9 yards was going to go out the window. My life would be over. Not throwing myself under a bus over, but this whole reality the shroud that I had created was going to go away. And what I liken that to is standing on the edge of a cliff, of this yawning, deep, dark abyss. You can't see the bottom. As much as you try, you can't. But that's where the rest of your life lies. And so you need to make a decision. Am I going to step over and hurtle myself down into this darkness that may not end? Or do I step away from it and continue to live the lie? Well, I certainly wasn't going to do that. So I jumped, not knowing what was going to happen, not knowing what the outcome was going to be, not knowing what my life was going to look like after I jumped. And the good news is, for me, instead of hurtling down into this deep darkness that never ended, a bridge rose up out of the darkness to meet my fall. And that bridge was made up of a whole new group of people. Some that, most of whom, all of whom, I had never met before, that had embraced me for who I am, embraced my truth, celebrated me for who I am, and loved me for who I am. So I am beyond blessed and beyond fortunate. And I share that with you just to say that while that is my reality, that is not the reality of the vast majority of trans people here in the US and, dare I say, across the globe, especially those living in countries where, being different is essentially a death sentence. It's being outlawed. And when I think about the Transgender Day of Remembrance that's coming up here soon, I think about my trans siblings who have died in the past year and in years prior to that gave the ultimate sacrifice, their life, for their authenticity. No one should have to make that choice. No one. And I'm going to leave it there for now, as you kind of think about that, and as we think about what it means to be authentic and the price that some have to pay for it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I'll be back very soon with another edition of Walk the Walk and Talk the Talk. Take care, everybody. Love each other.